So we're going to call the meeting of Monday, September 15th to order. Welcome, everyone. Start with the acknowledgement of treaties of peace and friendship. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq peoples. This territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, which Wolastoqiyik, Mi'kmaq, and Passamaquoddy peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1726. The treaties did not deal with surrender of lands and resources, but in fact recognized Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik title and established the rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. Thank you, Wallen. Next is the oath of office. We do hereby accept the office of council and will diligently, faithfully, and impartially discharge to the best of our ability the duties of the office as may be imposed upon us by law. Next is a moment of reflection. Deputy Mayor.
Moment of reflection, September 2025. Margaret Doucette from Mitchell. Arnold Guittard from Belledoux.
Moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next is the adoption of the agenda. Do we have any changes? If not, can we get a mover?
M 2025-0915-90 that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Any statements of conflict of interest are to be registered with the clerk. The adoption of minutes. Committee of Whole Council meeting of August 5th. The regular council meeting of August 18th. Can I get a mover, please, to adopt those minutes?
M 2025-0915-91 that the minutes of the Committee of Whole Council meeting of August 5th, 2025 and the regular meeting of August 18th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
Seconder.
I'll second.
On the question, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Any business arising from the minutes? If not, then we'll move down to statements by members of council. I only have two quick ones. This was just an ask of me, so to bring it to council, perhaps CEO Lee can give us background if he wishes as to what this issue would be about, and just give council some brief knowledge of what it is.
Okay, yeah, I don't have the information right in front of me, but I can provide that through email. But there was some ditching that was done. This is going back quite a ways. I want to say this is probably 2017 or 2018. So there is a request in from the property owner. Administration can't execute on this request according to our policy. This is something that's outside of the scope of the policy. So what I'll do there, Mr. Mayor, if it's okay with you, is I'll provide a summary of the information on this property to council. And what I'll do is I'll provide some options on what council can do if you want to action it. It would be relatively easy. You could pass a resolution of council to do it, but ideally this is something that when we get into the budget discussions on, we can just, if it's something that council wants to move forward to, we just put it into the budget for 2026 and then it's all done, and administration then has the go ahead to do it. So there has been some stalls on this because we of course we have to work within our policy, and our policy is restrictive on this type of request. So yeah, I'll provide that if that's okay with you, Paul. I'll send that out to council this week.
Sorry. Yeah, that's fine. The council, any additions to that or questions or? Okay. So the next one was just a call I received about some obstruction in terms of being able to see the road as you're coming out of Kearney Road. And it's just an ask to perhaps maybe if our Public Works hasn't done it yet, if they could just go and check and see if any obstruction exists, and if so, we can deal with it. Okay? So that's it for me. Councilor Burke?
Okay. As council is aware, we had a meeting with the people of Vitale and to discuss about bringing a doctor or another nurse practitioner to our medical center. And that meeting was extremely, extremely positive and constructive. So I made a report, so that publicly they will be aware of what the meeting involved and aware of what transpired. The report reads, I will read the names of those from Vitale who were in attendance, just so that the message is clear that we were talking to the very, very appropriate people to address this issue. July Segnot is the Regional Director of Community Engagement. Ms. Chantel Bernard is the Coordinator of Community Learning Approach. Mr. Raphael Albert is the Director of Medical Recruitment and Retention. Ms. Stephanie Roy is the Senior Director of Primary Health Care, Palliative Approach, and Integrated End-of-Life Care. And Isabel Duguay is the Director of Talent Acquisition. The report reads, this report is to highlight the commitments of all those in attendance and the action that will be required to retain and/or attract a doctor or nurse practitioner to the Jacket River Health Center. I would like to begin this report in how Council has expressed its cooperation and desire to make this a priority for the health of our citizens. There were several very important points that were expressed by the group from Vitale, and I will highlight those points so everyone is aware what and why these points must be followed. The health center will remain a health center and not a walk-in clinic. The reason for this is because a walk-in clinic does not retain any records of any patient. A health center will have a patient clientele who will get appointments, and a history will be retained at the center for as long as the patient is going to the health center. The goal will be long-term care. The regulation standardized by Vitale will make it mandatory to register your name on the 811 service line as soon as possible. All patients who are registered for needing a doctor must register on this service. Vitale will then register the patient with the doctor who can support the needs of the patient, and in many cases, as close to home as possible. This may be the most important point and must be followed to get into the system. Commitments registered are called Collaborative Clientele Model. This is the model that the Village of Beldoon Council will follow. It was agreed that the parties would meet monthly so as to create a long-term strategy for the future development of our health center. There are now 2 nurse practitioners at our health center who will be accepting new patients who are registered on the 811 health line. The Beldoon website has a list of services that our Jacket River Health Center clinic offers. They may be viewed at www.beldoon.com. The Council and Vitale will develop a plan, and that information will be shared with the public at the meeting sometime in the very near future. This meeting will be announced in the messenger, and invitations will be extended to our local nurse practitioners, the executive from Vitale, members of council, and the public to attend a meet and greet at the Recreation Center sometime in October. This will be very informative time for those looking for a doctor or nurse practitioner. Please read the messenger for the time and date of this extremely important event for those who are in need. The standards of healthcare are set by the College of Surgeons and Physicians. This group is already establishing a file for patient care as more doctors retire. Please note that these reports will follow after each meeting so that all parties have the information needed to plan for your future medical needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Burke. Anybody else? Any other council members wish to chime in?
I'd like to say thank you, Councillor Burke. That was well done, and the meeting was exceptional. We got a lot of information, and it was a bonus, and our community is in need, and they're aware of it. So we're hoping that this moves the needle in the right direction. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councilor Burke. It was a very good meeting, and I think we're moving towards the right directions and continue getting things done for our clinic. I was very positive to know that we now have 2 nurse practitioners, and it's certainly moving towards a positive future.
Just a final comment, if I may, or, first of all, I want to make it extremely clear to the public that none of this could not have happened without the cooperation and the direction of council. So I'm just kind of spearheading and writing the reports. But with that said, council deserves a lot of credit for taking the initiative that was required to make this a reality. So, all I can say is the plan was there, it was executed, and we're seeing some results. So, well done.
Anyone else? And I would agree with that. And there's one other name I think has to be given recognition, and that's Dr. France Desroger, the head of Vitalite, for lack of a better term. May 10th, 2022, I was at a meeting in Bathurst, and that meeting had every important shareholder in our health network at that meeting. And we're having some discussion about the Jacket River Clinic. That's why I was there. And I remember, there were some members around the table who were, for lack of a better term, trying to find some excuses for why our clinic was not at its optimum. And Dr. Desroger shut that down immediately and said, no more excuses. We're going to find a solution for the Jacket River Clinic to make it better. And then when I happened to see her again, fast forwarding 3 years later in this June, she came up to me, remembered that conversation, remembered that meeting, and promised me that that battle was still going to go on. So Dr. Desroger deserves a lot of credit, and it's good to see that, a lot of times, I'm not going to say promises, but the things that are said where they're forgotten later, and Dr. France Desroger never did forget our clinic. So I want to give her a shout out and thank her very, very much for all that she's done for our clinic. Okay. Administration reports. CEO Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'll run through this relatively high level. I have provided some information over to council on this through email, and I do apologize. There was some follow-up information that I did want to provide that unfortunately we've had a rather trying last couple of weeks here with administration, so that didn't get out. But I can kind of high level some of the information that I wanted to discuss here. Ultimately, what we're looking for is that we've received a recommendation from Roy Consultants on a couple of the projects that we had earmarked for 2025 for this year. They're making the recommendation to council to bump those into 2026. So we did have one project that was going to be built into the Jacket River Hill project that we had done last year. This was to complete the curb on the opposite side. The process did go through. Council had approved for this to go to tender. The results that came in were not favorable. They were well above the construction estimate on this. I challenged Roy Consultants on some of the parameters around this, only because there was a rather large discrepancy over their estimated construction cost and what was actually received in. So I don't have the minutia in front of me, but I can certainly provide that to council. However, as an example, there was one component of this project that was sort of extracted out, and it was important that Roy Consultants, that they wanted to ensure that council was aware of this. They had built their construction estimates around the existing Jacket River Hill project that was just done last year. And as an example, one of the items in that tender was around the curb, the concrete curb, which came in at $100 by the bidders last year for 1 meter of curb. This year, the bids came in from two different entities, and they had the price at $300 per linear meter. And the majority of this project is actually curb. Just with that one line item, that bumped up the cost by about $100,000 for the project. So Roy Consultants sort of wanted to demonstrate to me it's very, very difficult for them when they're using pricing as recently as a few months ago. That's what they've worked into their cost estimates. They have no control over how these customers or how these contractors are going to bid on it. So just with that one line item, that was triple the cost that they weren't expecting. So they are making the recommendation. The council sort of reconsidered. They don't find that the pricing is favorable this late in the year. The only thing that they can really attribute to it is the timing of the year, and there's just a lack of competition for the jobs this late in the season. That runs into the other job that was slated for this year, which was a culvert diversion project down on Curry Drive. The tender for that we have approved for Roy Consultants to do the tendering process. However, that is only happening this week. And Roy Consultants does feel that we're going to be replicating the exact same thing. They have concerns that we're going to again receive unfavorable bids on this because of the lateness in the season. So they are again making the recommendation that we simply bump this into 2026. How it impacts finances, just so council is aware, the first project was caught under a funding project, and that's no problem to move into next year. That's part of our CCBF that can be allocated to next year, so we're not losing out on any funding on that. The Curry Drive project was earmarked to come out of a capital reserve. So again, not an impact on our operational budget, and if it's something that council does want to do next year, then we can simply earmark it to come out of capital reserve as we have for 2025. So all we're looking for here is for council to sort of provide a direction to the staff that we move these projects to 2026. If there's any questions on these, I'll do my best to answer. But that's where we are right now. There is going to be a little bit of work that needs to be done for the Curry Drive project with property owners. There was we sort of let them know that we were planning on doing that this year. I think that we can explain the process and explain where we are on this and move this into 2026. You know, I think they would understand the situation around there. One last thing is timeline wise, we can actually go to tender immediately in 2026 for this. We can go do it as early as January or February and have it prepared for when the ground is thawed to be able to do the work. It happens right away. So it can be done very, very early in the season. Again, if there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer. This is the information that we got right now.
All right.
Are you looking for a directive on what to do or what we should do? Is that your question, or are we
Sure.
settled?
Yeah. So I just want to make sure the council was aware of it. And if there is if we don't have a resolution or anything for this, so I just want for council to be aware. Your engineers are making the recommendation that this moves into 2026. If you just wanted to issue a directive to the CAO to say, yes, that's fine, let the engineers know to move it to 2026. That's more than adequate enough. Yeah.
So I'll also move that we issue that directive to move it to 2026.
Council?
I agree with that. We'll have to move it to 2026. I'm just hoping that Curry Drive is okay with that.
There's your directive. 7.1.2, Social Environment Grant Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was one request that came in from the Club of Lulag, Bay de Chaleur Incorporated. There is a motion there for 92. There was also a request that came in from the Chamber of Commerce for the Business Excellence Awards. They did have it tiered, so we did leave that blank with a separate motion in case council did want to contribute more than the $250, but that is at council's discretion.
Can we get a motion?
M 2025-09-15-92, that the Social and Environment Report for September 2025 be accepted as presented, and recommendations approved $250 to the Club of Lulag, Bay of Chaleur, Inc.
Seconder.
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Next, 93.
M 2025-09-15-93, that the council approve a $250 or $500 contribution to the Chaleur Chamber of Commerce Business Excellence Award.
Seconder.
I'll second it.
On the question,
I just want to say that the minimum amount was 500 on the letter we received, so I'm wondering if that's what we should give, or
If I may, Your Worship, I agree with 500. That would make us a minimum sponsor. In my opinion, we are a member of the Chamber of Commerce. These things are excellent programs, not only for businesses, but it motivates businesses to excel. I realize that, Baldoon is kind of like on the back burner, but by the same token, we are a member of the Bathurst Chamber of Commerce, or well, they go by the Chaleur Chamber of Commerce now. But with that said, there are over 300 businesses that are part of that organization, and I believe it is, quite, we should be involved. And with that said, I am in favor of $500.
I'm also in favor of the $500 as opposed to the $250.
I am too. Should I reread it for 500?
go ahead.
93, that the council approve a $500 contribution to the Chaleur Chambers of Commerce Business Excellence Award.
Seconder.
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Clerk Treasurer Culligan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, financial reports for the month of August. We'll start with the general operating fund. We had a bank balance carry forward from July of $577,006.59. We had deposits through the month of August of $459,496.60, and we had interest revenue of $2,349.99. We had checks issued, including payroll, of $260,812.81, direct payments of $71,156.06, along with service charges of $129.48, and WorkSafe New Brunswick of $4,205.96, for a total of $336,314.31. Checks outstanding at the end of July 2025, $16,483.50, and the checks outstanding at the end of August 2025 were $44,027.79. That brought us to a bank balance of $730,083.16 in our general operating account. In the capital reserve account, we had $3,035,935.97. In the operating reserve account, we had $233,262.63. And the gas tax fund balance at August 31st, 2025 was $778,622.07. The accounts payable were $164,643.86, and the accounts receivable were $1,773.75. In the utility operating fund, Balance forward from July was $17,330.29. We had deposits of $5,177.98 and interest of $42.77. We had checks of $3,015.75 and online bill payments of $1,184.95. We had no outstanding checks at the end of July and none at the end of August as well. So that leaves us with an account balance of $18,350.34. The capital reserve account balance was $95,050.64. The operating reserve account balance, $4,119.69. And the trust account balance, $33,227.48. There were no accounts payable at the end of August, and the accounts receivable for residential was $6,125.
Thank you. Can I get a motion?
M 2025-09-15-94, that the financial report be accepted as presented and the accounts payable be paid.
Need a seconder?
I'll second.
On the question, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Motions and resolutions. Closed session. Yeah.
Just real briefly for council, so we do have the option to go to a closed session here. The reason for this is that later on in our agenda, there is, as part of the dangerous and sightly premises appeals that came in, there was a request that was made by one of the appellants to purchase their property. They wanted for the municipal council to consider the purchase of the property. So if council would like to discuss that, then there is an option here to go to a closed session to discuss it. Any purchase of land that the municipality is considering should be done in camera, any discussion around it. So the closed session resolution there is only required if council wants to discuss the purchase of the property in the, excuse me, it would be item 99.
What would council like to do?
I'm fine with not going into a closed session.
That's
I am
one.
also.
That's two.
I am too. I am too, yeah. I'm fine not going into the closed session.
Next is the RDC funding for beach access study. I guess that, correct? Yeah, sure.
And,
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna explain what it was. So we did a study last year with Englobe on beach access up at the Jacket River Campground. And we only found out later on, I had gone to a seminar down in Moncton to find out about different sources of funding and things like that. And we found out that we were actually able to apply for funding for studies, even if they're studies that we're not acting on right away. But if the study's being done, that we could apply for funding. So normally with these RDC funding projects, we usually get the okay from council ahead of time, but in this case, we had already spent the money on the study, so we're getting the okay now to go back to RDC and get the funds.
All right, can we get a motion?
M 2025-09-15-96, that the council accept the agreement from RDC for project at 18,759 Beldoon beach access, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the agreement.
Seconder? On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. UMNB conference, per diem.
M 2025-09-15-97, that council approve for any members of council and staff to attend the annual UMNB conference in St. John, October 3rd to 5th, 2025.
Seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Dangerous and unsightly cleanup, -98.
M 2025-09-15-98, whereas dangerous or unsightly premises are regulated by bylaws, DOP 09-2020, a bylaw of the Village of Beldoon respecting dangerous and unsightly premises, and whereas a notice of comply was registered against the property located at 2546 Main Street and identified by PID 501-42850, registration number 441-72998, because of the condition described in the notice to comply. Be it resolved that council authorize Marcel Dueron, as well as any other person deemed necessary by Mr. Dueron, to assist him to undertake the remedial work described in the notice of comply registration against the property identified by the PID 501-42850, registration number 441-72998, in order to ensure compliances with bylaw number DUP 09-2020 at the Local Government Act. Be it resolved that council authorize staff to undertake the necessary step to recover all related fees and disbursement by attempting to collect or, if required, sending a request to the Minister of Finance for the unpaid debt and interest in accordance with the authority described in the Local Government Act.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Dangerous and unsightly cleanup, -99.
M 2025-09-15-99, whereas dangerous or unsightly premises are regulated by bylaw number DUP 09-2020, a bylaw of the Village of Beldoon respecting dangerous and unsightly premises. And whereas a notice to comply was registered against the property located at 88 Chaleur Drive and identified by the PID number 20278065, registration number 441-73087, because of the condition described in the notice to comply. And whereas the notice to comply was appealed on August 7th, 2025, the appeal committee did not modify the requirements of the notice to comply, except to give an additional 14 days to remedy the situation. And whereas the appeal committee was asked but could not consider the owner request to sell the land to Beldoon, be it resolved that council does not agree to purchase the 88 Chaleur Drive property. Be it further resolved that council authorize Marcel Dueron, as well as any other persons deemed necessary by Mr. Dueron, to assist him to undertake the remedial work described in the notice to comply, registered against the property identified by PID number 20278065, registration number 441-73087, in order to ensure compliance with the bylaw number DUP 09-2020 and the Local Governance Act. Be it resolved that council authorize staff to undertake the necessary steps to recover all related fees and disbursements by attempting to collect or, if required, sending a request to the Minister of Finance for the unpaid debt and interest in accordance with the authority described in the Local Governance Act.
Seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. General correspondence.
Apologize, Mr. Mayor, my information here is cutting out. We have the track rail inspection report for August 2024. We have the SPCA report for August 2024. And I apologize, I don't have the other stuff in front of me. Universe Rail, and I believe we had some we had the Chaleur Regional Service report, building report. And anything else that was missed there, I'll make sure we cover in the next meeting.
Okay. Adjournment.
M 2025-09-15-100, that the meeting be adjourned at 7:36.
Seconder.
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.